Hey, Shannon, have you heard anything lately?
You know what, Tanner? I have.
What have you heard?
I heard that you can email your questions, your comments, and your show title ideas to poppetscorner@gmail.com.
Are you telling me that our fans can actually be involved with the show by submitting their questions, comments, or show topic ideas to poppetscorner@gmail.com?
That's right. poppetscorner@gmail.com. That's spelled POPPITTS corner@gmail.com.
Submit your emails now. What you call it? Let's get Sherman on in here because I know it's like 1:30 right now, pretty much. Stick around with us. Let's get Sherman on. Sherman, come on here, man. This is your.
Can we get security to let him through? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Am I the headliner closer?
You're the closer. He was the headliner there. Actually, Diego was like the headliner, and you guys are mopping up the sweat.
Bring on the mop.
That's right, Mr. Sherman Jones, the man of the hour, man of several hours.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you, all three of you. Appreciate it. I'm already sweating. I'm sweating like Mike Tyson at a spelling bee.
Nice, man. Hey, so real quick, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Keeping busy.
If I can get your microphone to turn on, that'd be awesome.
Did I turn it off?
It's the same thing Dad does.
Yeah,
It's,
you spinal
kick it
tap the shit out of that.
How about now?
Oh,
we go.
yes.
Beautiful.
Sibilance.
See?
I hear myself.
See, he's got it.
I saw that. I saw the episode.
Testing one.
I like that he got that. He picked
Uno
up
dos
on
tres.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so what were we saying?
It's for our friends in the Latin community.
I don't really remember what I was saying before. What was I saying before?
I was saying I've been keeping busy doing the studio.
Oh, I was asking how he was.
Yeah,
There you go.
open Monday through Friday.
Where are we? We are broadcasting live out of Gardena.
Yes.
Gardena.
Side Show Studios.
California. Side Show Studios.
Yeah.
And this place famously held the botched
The DRI show.
DRI show. Yeah, Blind Illusion
Really?
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
this
we
was
were
the
eating
place.
hot dogs. That's where it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting story. So my buddy was in town and he was opening up for DRI and we were talking. I said, okay, I'm going to come to Hollywood. I'm going to hang out with you. We're going to get some burgers, get some pizza, whatever. I'll drive you and your buddies around Hollywood. It was Friday night, and then I called him. I said, okay, man, I can be up there in about half an hour. He said, oh, dude, we're tired. We got the gig tomorrow. I said, all right, well, let's touch base tomorrow. So he called me the next day around noon, and we're talking. I said, dude, you know what? I don't think I'm going to go to the show tonight. You play like at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be $30 to get in. I got to rush. I'm coming to hang out with you. So while I'm talking to him, he starts having a conversation with someone else who just walked in the hotel room. And then he's all, what? And he's all, hey, hold on. So he puts me on hold. He comes back. He's all, dude, the show is canceled. They're saying that there's no show. And I said, oh, wow, that sucks. I said, I tell you what, if it's canceled, you call me and we'll do something for you down at the studio. And I did something for them back in 2012 when I mentioned that we were doing the first Metal Summit. It was a band called Schizo. We brought them down from San Francisco.
Oh my God! Yeah, legendary Bay Area band.
Yes,
So
Lance.
famously, Lance famously throws up
Absolutely.
every show. That's what his thing is.
Absolutely. So we, but he wasn't down here with Schizo on that particular tour. So I said, I can do something for you. I go, let's get some pizza. We'll bring some of your personal friends down. We'll just do a little showcase. Like, if you want me to charge a couple bucks at the door, I'll give you the money. No big deal. Get you some gas and you go on your way. She's all right. Cool. Thanks. About 4 o'clock, he calls me and he says, hey, man, you still want to do that show for me? And I was all, yeah, sure. Why not? He's all, here, hold on. Hands the phone to some guy who's probably been up on some white powder or something, speaking 500 miles a minute.
Oh, that sounds like Andy Ford.
Yeah, hey, shout out to Andy.
Big shout out to Andy Ford.
So anyways,
Of Razor Radio.
yes, the man. So he says, can you do the show for me? I said, yeah, sure. I go, but I'm not going to do the whole show. I go, I just want the bands that have traveled from out of town. I go, that's fair. And my neighbors right next door had just moved in. So I said, okay, let's do it here at my building. So I went and talked to my neighbor. I said, look, I need the back patio. And they said, okay, well, we got truck deliveries coming in. Last truck comes in at 7. I said, okay, I can get things going at 7. I have a stage in the back right behind this wall here that belonged to Katie Lang. It's now back over there. It's been sitting there ever since, covered in a blue tarp. So Andy comes over. They check out the place. Kids start showing up. They're lining up out on the sidewalk. Line of kids starts showing up. I'm not here to browbeat anyone or talk bad about anybody's band. But we were talking earlier tonight about integrity. Integrity goes a long way. One of the main band showed up, and I'm not going to mention them. And I said, hey, how you doing? And everything's cool. I said, hey, sorry about the show. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this show here. I walked them through the building. I showed them, they had the green room right over there, room I, and I said, okay, this is where all the food at. They had the food out. I said, if you want, I'll give you your own room. I'll give you a room up front. You have access to the door of the street. You park your van out there. You guys are responsible for that door. I took them to the back, and I said, okay, this is where we're putting the stage. I pointed, and I said, there's the stage. They're pulling it out right now. And I go, we're going to PA. We'll get some lights out here. He stood there right next to me, hands in his pocket, went up on his tiptoes. I remember this. And he said, all right, cool. I'm all right, cool. He took the money, said he'd be back. They never came back. My guitar player calls me. He said, hey, man, you see on the internet? And came up saying that the show was false and the show was canceled. Well, I don't see how that can be. So the show must go on. We got everybody's gear ready. We started letting people in. And before we started, and we had vendors here, Mega Dogs, JP from Hail Death. Get the show going. I went up on the stage and I told everyone, thank you for coming. Hey, this is my place, whatnot. And I go, we have one bathroom. Gentlemen, please use the trough because we have women here and we have to be careful of the bathroom. And all the girls that were here just went, yay, right? I can sympathize with that. And I also said, and I hear that the show is canceled. And I said, look around. Doesn't look canceled to me. And we proceeded to do the show. And that's my story with Andy and with Schizo. I don't know how we got sidetracked to that particular incident, but we were talking about the Cide Show in the studio and doing gigs.
Well, I mean, we were supposed to play that show.
Oh, you were on that gig?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We don't have integrity, I guess, because we didn't end up playing it. Because by the time we would have got there, our set would have been over, and we had no communication until like 30 minutes before we were supposed to go on. So it was like, we can't really, we didn't know what was happening. So it wasn't our fault, but I couldn't do that to my guys. My guys live everywhere.
Okay.
Well, that's just...
The problem that I had was everyone complaining on the internet, and because I guess the internet knows all.
Absolutely. It's the mighty psychic.
So that is what really happened, ladies and gentlemen. So do not believe those bands. Believe what you're hearing now.
Yeah.
Because this is the real deal right here. He does not lie.
Who, me or anybody else?
No, you.
I try to be truthful. Sometimes on stories you can indulge a little bit, but as far as the facts and bases and...
But you went out of your way to throw the show here.
Well, yeah, I thought it was very important. I thought it was great for the scene, and I thought it was, that these people deserve the right to play. People like Lance and Blind Illusion, they came a long way. And the band that pulled out, it was the least I could do because I am a fan of their music, and it's just like, to do that, I would have rather had them say, or this particular person say, we're not doing it, this place sucks, and this isn't what we signed up for. I'm sorry you feel that way. Let's go home. But to stand there and for me to give you the tour and to say, yeah, okay, yeah.
And get paid.
Yeah, take the money and run. I thought the gig was happening. So anyways, you had the out-of-town bands play. Louis Seidel played and Beowulf played. All in all, it was a great show. And, people had a good time. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
My services have always been around to maybe catering to people because, we've been doing this a long time. And I know what it's like to go somewhere and the promoter gyps you or, they get there and they say, well, what do you want to eat? And we say, all right, well, there's a sandwich shop around the corner. We get some steak sandwiches and they come back with some real cheesy tacos or something. So it's like, well, you know what? Let's treat the people the way they should be treated, regardless if it's a band or an old lady walking to a store and you have to open the door for her. Let's just treat people with some respect.
Yeah.
And hold yourself to a higher accountability of, being true to what you say. And you go to these gigs sometimes and, like someone was saying, you're now playing at 12:40. I don't see how that happens. The first band goes on at 8 and they start going at 8:10. It's like, you're still ending at 8:35.
Well, because you don't have that promoter with the balls enough to tell the bands to get the fuck off the stage. And the problem that I have with some of these bands that get the fuck off the stage is that they don't take like the drum kit off the stage. They take a fucking cymbal at a time. It's like, fuck you, get the fuck off the stage so I can get on. And any Rockstar bullshit, get the fuck off the stage so I can do my set.
I've been fortunate enough to the shows I've done throughout, the course of, I don't know if you want to call it a career, but ever since I've been a kid that I've done shows, like I've always had, friends or whatever that helped me out. And I'd say, this is what you're going to do. You're going to watch that door. You're going to come with me when this band ends. I need you to, not grab the cymbal. You're going to grab the whole thing and you're going to take it off. You know what I mean?
That's the way. That's called respect and integrity. Get your shit off the stage.
You would hope that the
dude.
bands know this is my slot.
They
and
don't.
If I start late, I am going to end up. It's going to be called finishing early, but I'm going to finish on time, and the next band will be on time. And
but they don't. But because that's why you need a promoter with the balls and just say, hey, you guys came on late. Your 2 songs, get the fuck off.
I always kind of wonder too, like
not that so many words, but
So when you have 15 minutes, and you guys know as musicians, if you have 15 minutes in between sets, and obviously if you got a sound guy that's there, if you're set up in 5 minutes, let him play an extra song.
Yeah,
because you finish at 8:45. Your schedule is starting at 8:15, but at 8:05, that other band's gone, they're off, and you're ready to go. Mm-hmm. Why not? Yeah. You know what your end time is, so why can't you start if you wanted to play an extra song or do an encore or whatever it is, as opposed to we want you to wait another 10 minutes even though you're ready. And frankly, if I'm a promoter, I'm going, hey, if these guys even finish early and they're done with their set, and I'm ahead of it a little bit, maybe that helps, but it doesn't necessarily give every band the right to start before, what am I saying? Before the other bands even got their stuff off, like you're jumping on there.
Yeah.
If it's your time, if this is your set time, then be prepared to start at that time.
I agree.
But when it starts pushing off 20 minutes and stuff, and I'm not a promoter, I don't know, but I see it a lot where it's like, shit, these guys are starting way later. Or if you went to go see only a certain number of bands, and maybe you missed the first band, but you get there and they haven't even gone on yet.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, it's going to carry on for the rest of the night. And that's tough for promoters, I can imagine.
Absolutely. Well, when there's so many people you have to deal with, like you said, a sound man or whatever, or even the guy who has to come to the building with the keys to open up the building that lets you in, time is valuable. Punctuality is important. Being professional is important.
But why can't you hire a guy to do that for you? Why can't you hire the guy
you hope that the venue does it.
You can't hope for people. You have to do it yourself, dude.
Yeah, well, I think hands-on helps when you have someone who's really has
like
something at stake, who's invested in the show. When you deal with, Gina and I, we can set up and tear down 10, 11, 12 bands a night. And that means, you book 7 to 9, at 8:50 you're getting that knock like there's a band in here, And sometimes we have to rearrange people here in the studio. It's like, okay, well, this band needs a drum set and this band needs a drum set, but they're in 2 different rooms. Well, now I'm switching because he's doing 7 to 9, but he's over here at 9. He's 9 to 11. I'm going to switch the rooms so that way it saves me a little time with setting up a drum set. And I tell people, can you work with me? I cut deals every day in this business. I've been doing Cide Show close to 16 years. Angelo was talking about when we were earlier out barbecuing that must have been close to 16 years ago that we went to go see. It was I can't think of the band right now. It was Metallica and was it Limp Bizkit at the Coliseum, and we took my van and we took like 16 people in my van, and I didn't even have Cide Show back then. But in the last 16 years, you learn how to adjust, accommodate, and to be firm at times, like, hey, look, dude, this is what we're doing. And you always try and be fair with the person. They always say the customer is right. I try to believe that, but just sometimes it's like, what are you doing? I guess I got off on another tangent.
No, I love it. I want to know where this is going.
I guess it deals with, we asked where we were earlier. We're at Side Show Studios in Gardena, and I've had this building for 10 years, but I've been down here in the building for 8, doing hourly and monthly. And it's juggling. I guess I don't stray too far from what I know. I do know from what I've heard all the bands talk about tonight is, I do love playing music. Is it a pain in the ass sometimes? Yes. Do you argue with your bandmates at times? Yes. I'm fortunate that I'm in a band with my best friend, and there are times where I think I'm the top dog, and there's times where he thinks he's the top dog, and I think my song is more important, but he feels, well, we did, we haven't done one of my songs. It's like, okay, well, it's give and take. It's like being in a relationship. But I have those arguments with him in private and not in front of a bunch of people. and I wouldn't say that they're more disgruntled arguments than an anger issue, because he's my friend, and making music is fun. And once it's not fun, it's like, well, why don't you leave and we'll continue at next rehearsal. When it's not fun, it's time to leave. You guys were talking about retirement earlier. When do you retire? I don't know. I guess when you physically can't do that anymore. What we do in my band, Insecticide, it's speed metal, and we play fast. And when the day comes where I can tell you right now, we may not be as fast acting as we were in the late 80s, early 90s, but we're still fast. We're still keeping true to what we do. But when the day comes when you really can't do that anymore, well, maybe lay that to rest. I think I'll do something else, because a few years ago I started doing Sherman's Tank, which was my own thing, and I had a bunch of people that were going to come in and play different guitar parts for me. Maybe I was going to play guitar, get a bass player for songs. I had people that wanted to sing. I'm not a trained singer. I'm not a true singer. I just happen to fall in the same category as Dennis and you. Couldn't find the singer, so I'll do it till we find somebody, and you kind of learn how to do it. And it's like, I never claimed to be a singer. I wish I could sing like Ronnie James Dio or something like that, but I think it works for what we do. Bob Dylan isn't a great singer. Tom Petty wasn't a great singer, but their voices work for that particular style, what they do. And we take it as it goes. Some people like it, and some people have come up to me, man, if you guys got a singer, you'd really be good. It's like, okay. We were in. We took a Texas trip about 3 weeks ago. We did 3 shows back to back. We did Austin on a Friday, Houston on a Saturday, and we did San Antonio on a Sunday afternoon matinee. And some people were there, and one guy came up. He's, "Oh, dude, man, I first saw you when I was 17, and I'm 30 now." It's like, okay, that's only been 13 years, but we've been around 30. And it was also kind of bittersweet. We saw people there that were there the first time we went, and they were already like in their late 20s, and you can tell that they're just looking older and they're slower, but they're coming out. And then there are new people that were there for the first time, and we also know that we're probably not going back unless we get that call for a specific show. I was actually talking to the promoter in San Antonio, and we had a little private conversation in his office, and it's like, we came here for one thing. We were in the neighborhood. It's, coming, from California, Houston, Austin. It's like, we're in the neighborhood. And so you gave us a show. And it's like, we didn't come here for money. So why don't you keep what you want to give me? You did what you promised me. You gave us a show. You gave us a back line. Our name was on the marquee. You had a barbecue for us. You had a green room for us in the back with chilled waters and cases of Lone Star. And you gave us a place to sell our merchandise. You gave us intro music on the computer, and you let us do what we want to do. You didn't cut us off in 40 minutes. We played till we were done. And it's like, okay, what we need? Keep the money you're going to give us. Deceased from DC will hopefully be there in 2020. You call us up. We'd love to open with them because we have a history with them from the 80s. That's what we need. And those are the kind of one-off shows that we do. My guitar player says, well, it is getting towards the end. It's like, yeah, he is right. We talk about having wives, and there's grandkids, and we have our own businesses, and we pay mortgages and this and that. And it's like, that's consuming, and that becomes life. And it does cut into your love of writing music, making music, getting to rehearsal, all those little aspects that come with being in a band. And it's like, okay, well, when is the end? We were in Houston, and it was a benefit show for Sweet Nightmares. I'm going to plug that. That show's been around for over 30 years. One of the first places we stopped at when we went to Houston was at Sweet Nightmares. 2 DJs. It was Bill Bates and Wes Weaver. Wes Weaver is still with us. He's had some health problems. He does his death metal band Blaspherian. You had Bill Bates. He passed away. And probably in the last 4 to 5 years now, the shows that we've been doing, we kind of maybe dedicate the set to somebody that we've lost, someone that one of the first ones we did, we dedicated our set to Glenn Rambo, who was from Soylent Green out of New Orleans. We met at the Pagan Festival back in 1988 in Dallas, and he unfortunately perished in Katrina. And so one of the first shows that we started doing that was to him. When we went to Houston, we dedicated that show to Bill Bates for Sweet Nightmares, even though it's different DJs now. Just a lot of different shows. We did a show with Diego maybe 5 months ago at the Redwood, and we dedicated that one to Danny. And I actually told the story. Hopefully I have time to tell the story now. But one of the first times I met Danny, we were talking about being at Francisco Studios. Danny was an abattoir with Juan Garcia and Steve Gaines. It's a very small clique if you think about it. We're all connected. It's like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and Dio. They all interchange the members. It's the same thing, but just on a smaller scale. So Gimme and I were having problems. We never claimed to be the best players, and we were working on our songwriting. Megadeth was down the hall. Killing Is My Business wasn't out yet. Abattoir was next door. You had people like Lita Ford in the building next door, and I think I was out in the hallway, and just one of those moments where you're bummed. It's like, man, we can't get a drummer, dude. This and that. I was playing guitar. We're trying to do the 2 guitar thing. We can't find a singer. Everyone wants to do the wah singing. It's not what we wanted to do. And Danny was out there, and I was just probably just singing the blues to him. He's, oh man, just hang in there, man. Be tough, man, and you'll get to where you want to go. We fast forward a couple years, and here we are in Toronto, Canada, and we're on the same bill with Danny is now an MX Machine, and the night before I was standing at Niagara Falls, and then to fast forward from that must have been probably 8, 9, 10 years ago. We were doing this gig downtown called the Silver Factory, and we were with Scrap Metal and some other bands, and we were playing, and I look out, and there's this guy there, and he's got his jacket on, his hands in his pockets, and he's like, he's doing this. I'm looking at him. It's like, damn, that's Danny, right? So we get done and go up there, and Danny had his thyroid, so his voice was kind of messed up from the thyroid. And he said, dude, it's fucking good to see you. It's like, hey, it's good to see you too. It's like, you take that gamut. It's like, okay, a guy that was so humble, very approachable, giving me advice, and I'm looking up to him. It's like, man, okay, wow, look at that dude. That's Abattoir. And then next thing I know, it's like, wow, we're in Canada on the East Coast, and we're doing a gig together. And then it's like, wow, there's Danny, and he's got this thyroid problem, and he's out in the audience. And then one morning I woke up, and there was a text message on my phone, and it was Diego saying, hey, we're doing this thing at the Redwood Bar in Los Angeles, and for Toy Drive in honor in celebration of life of Danny. I was like, oh, what is it? What's that? So I physically called Diego and I go, hey, what's this mean? And he's like, yeah, we lost Danny. It's like, okay, well, you know what, we're going. So to kind of full circle, ninth circle the whole deal here, dedicating show. So we did the show with Diego, and Diego was kind enough to call us and said, hey, dude, can you guys play here? It's like, I always got to say nowadays, 20 years ago, it's like, hey man, we're there, tell us when. Now it's like, well, let me check with the guys. I got to make sure, like tonight my drummer's not here because he's doing something with his old lady's, with his daughter. And then, Gimme flew to Phoenix to see his mom. His mom's getting up there in age, and, they've sent me some texts throughout the course of the night. Hey, how are things going? It's like, hey man, things are rolling. It's like, I can't wait till we get to rehearsal where I can actually say, and I was like, man, it's like, this is what Los Angeles needs. This kind of shot in the arm that we need to, like, it's camaraderie. It's not high school. We're not feuding with bands one another. It's like, let's get together. Let's do some networking. There were some bands that canceled on me actually 2 nights ago, which is Friday, because we're actually into Sunday morning. Yeah. And a couple bands a day. And it's like, and I actually sat back and I thought about it, and I was all, I guess I got in my little mood where I was like, I didn't get depressed, but I just started thinking about it, and I was like, am I that old, or am I that out of touch, or am I that much of a dinosaur where doing a podcast, is not important to people, compared to like actually going out and meeting people? Is that not important? And if you step back a little bit and go back to what Dennis was saying earlier about calling people out of recycler and you didn't know who was coming at your door, it's like we all jumped at the chance when if someone came to a gig with a huge old camera or something, or someone showed up with a tape recorder next to them with a mic, and then telling you that he works for a magazine and it'll be out in 4 months because it comes quarterly and it's typed and it's stapled. We dove at the chance to talk to these people, and then here we are today. It's like, all right, man, we're gonna be live on the internet, man. We got Poppitt's Corner coming out, fucking Razor Radio, man. We got all these bands coming down, man. It's free beer. We got barbecue.
That's just and
it's like, and you can't come, and you've known for a month, and that's where I said I kind of got that feeling. It's like, Am I just outdated that this isn't important? We're networking. We're actually physically getting next to people and shaking people's hands and, having a off conversation about nothing, but it's about something. Am I that antique? But what I've seen and what I've heard tonight, I've know that I was thinking completely off, and that train of thought was wrong, and this is important. Insecticide and all the bands that were here, we thank you for what you do. This is a multi-dimensional task. You coming out of work, we've been here 8 hours, and we're still sitting here, and hopefully people are still tuned in, having a good time, and the booze is flowing, and these are memories, that we're going to have 10 years from now when we're doing something else, regardless if the band is here or not. And saying, "Hey man, remember that one night, man? We all got together, dude, and we did this." And it seems as we grow older, in a sense that we do these things after we hear that someone has passed, such as like Danny or Glenn Rambo or Bill Bates from Sweet Nightmares. It's like, then you get your accolades. You're getting your accolades tonight, brother.
I appreciate that, man.
You
That
too.
means a lot. I can't do it without him, but thank you very much for having us. But so is everybody here. And the whole point of this show is to give accolades to people who are kind of the unsung heroes of this community, like
People in the trenches.
Yeah, people who I feel maybe never got the respect they deserved. I always wanted to tell their story because I was like, well, if I was ever in that boat, I would want my story to be told. And who's going to do it? There's no podcast doing this, folks. If you do a podcast, fucking do it. If you get the opportunity, do it for your community.
You heard them.
That's
Well,
right.
I think there's a lot of value in what you say because whether the other folks are able to make it or not, I guess the key is that who's here with us now, it's important to us. I mean, and having this venue here for for people to rehearse and stuff, people are like building their bands as a result of a space that you offer for them. When Tanner was growing up, it was a bitch to try to find a place for a rehearsal spot and stuff. So when there's opportunities that you offer a place to play, whether it's an outside venue or it's inside for rehearsal time and stuff, I mean, that community is pretty tight knit, and I think it's important to pay it back to you too. That these guys all get a chance to come in and rehearse and get ready for a great show, and they need that time and that space to do it. So that's the thing that you provide to people as well. So I think that's also what makes it kind of a tight group. So we're happy to showcase, everybody that's here tonight too. And there's some great stories that come out of folks like that we would have never heard before if it wasn't for doing things like this.
Yeah.
It's true, man. I always tell everybody out in the community, it's like, you need to have one person in your band at least be doing something besides playing in a fucking band. Because your band's shit, and you need to fucking, do something else. Like, you do the rehearsal space, you play in a band. I do a podcast, I play in a band. Homie does a record label, he plays in a band. He helps, everybody should, you press T-shirts and play in a band.
Yeah.
It's like, we need to have all this shit for our community, for do you know what I mean? Angelo's fucking stony baloney. Look at them eyes. Anyway,
He's been partying since 2:00 yesterday.
yes,
He looks good.
Yes, but do you get my point? Like,
Absolutely.
it's like you can't just play in a band. It's not enough anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Well, yeah, and like Tony Cole, there's a guy that
okay. He
contributes
does,
to the scene as well.
dude. He does art and he plays in a band.
Yeah,
And what band is he in?
Tony Cole. He
Yeah.
plays in a band called Fishing for Neptune. It's a funk band.
Okay.
But my point is he does something else besides playing a band.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be at least one person from every band here that plays locally that's doing something else. Like the guys in Dark Cult do like videography where they go to shows and they video people's performances. Like we need to have that.
I like hearing about that stuff too. I mean, this is just the social, the media part of it is a great opportunity that people, we're older, so no one had this before.
No.
So that opportunity to promote your band and maybe stuff that you're putting out or some shows that you have going on. Shit, I mean, that was in the recycler where there was shows or you had to look in magazines to try to find shows where now it's so easily available. Maybe that's part of the reason that people they feel like they can slough stuff off. But when there's an opportunity to be presented out there, we try to push for. I know Tanner and Andy do quite a bit of it. So, that's why it's great that we have you guys on and can promote whatever you have going on as well.
When Gimme and I were starting out, we would go to gigs every night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If we saw a band's name that sounded metal, we'd go. We caught a band called War God like on a Tuesday night at I think it was the Woodstock, and this guy named Gene Hoglan was playing drums before Dark Angel. And I remember looking at him, and before the band started, he got their attention. He says, "Are you ready?" to the band, and they're all, "Yeah." And he counted out the sticks, and it's like, that's the kind of drummer we need, someone who's not just gonna, he's making sure the band is ready, because we stand out in front, and just going to shows and networking and meeting people throughout the course of the years. I don't know. I told you this on this when I came to your podcast and we did the thing for me. The first show I ever did with my guitar player, we went under the name Bloodlust. He introduced us. You remember that at Normandale Park?
Wow.
And I remember Angelo would walk around with this Chinese robe on, and I remember looking at him and saying, "Man, that's cool." Had like a dragon on the back. I gotta get me one of them. We're talking like 1983, late 82, 1983. It's just like none of the bands back then. We didn't have a template or we didn't have a roadmap. We were just we were pulling from all this stuff. Nowadays, you can get a band that just formed. Let me back this up. When we were in Texas a couple weeks ago, we pulled in some gas station liquor store in the middle of nowhere, and these long-haired guys came out with equipment in the back. And I went up to him, I said, "Hey, man, what's up, man? Where are you guys going there?" "Oh, we're going to rehearsals." Like, "What's the name of your band?" They were called Bloodtooth. And they're all, "We're a tribute to Pantera." And I was, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So he's all, "What are you doing?" I go, "Oh, I'm in Insecticide, blah, 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 blah." They're, "Oh, we'll look you up," just like that, right? So anyways, but the point is, they have a roadmap because they told me exactly what they were doing. We're doing like Pantera. Back when we were starting, even when I was playing guitar, it's like, well, we only had the really big heavy hitters, AC/DC, Judas Priest, and Kiss, stuff like that, And then you had to go and you had to find these bands that were coming out. You had to go find a specialty store. You can go to Target now and get a Black Sabbath AC/DC shirt. Back then we had to go to a specialty store. And to get a gauntlet and buttons, but we didn't have a roadmap. We just did whatever we wanted to do. And just nowadays with the internet, you can punch in Norwegian black metal, you can punch in whatever you want, and you can pull and grab from all the stuff. I think it's a great tool, but I think a lot of times I hear a lot of bands and it's like, okay, there's nothing really that grabs me. You're a good player. I can really tell you're a good player, but you're not doing anything unique that really grabs me. What was that? Oh, you hear those breaks? Oh, wow, that was a great time change. It's like, that's an interesting beat and syncopation with the melodies of what's going on with the string instruments. It's all just kind of, this is what you get. You go to a black metal gig, what do you see? And you see the makeup. You know exactly what you're going to get. And it's like, okay, well, that's the path they take. And then you get a band that might say, okay, well, a lot of the new bands that come in here that are the younger kids, you can hear an 80s influence. It's like, wow, really? If they were our age back then, they would probably be doing something else because they've been listening to this music that's been handed down to them, which is that path. I think it's great, but I also think that sometimes you need to think outside the box and maybe I try not to influence myself with a lot of other people's music. I do listen to stuff, and I might listen to stuff several times in a row and then say, I'm kind of done with it. Maybe get an idea and say, okay, I like the way they did the word structure or whatever. It's like, okay, their songs really fluctuated throughout the course of the album. It was too slow and they got too fast. It was like they just sat there and they had the computer and they just started dragging and pulling stuff, and they really didn't think about the album itself by saying, okay, how can we make this album flow to like I put in the CD and it's like, okay, and I have that luxury of having that skip button, boom, 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 and I'm waiting, and there's some intro music. It's like, I'm going to come back, and I go, boom, and then I hear something that grabs my attention. I'll listen to it. I don't think the way people now, we talk about making albums, I believe there is forethought, but there's some people that just kind of just throw it out there really quickly and put the hodgepodge together and say, okay, here I go, and compared to a band that was like maybe from the 70s or early 80s where you really, really focus, and I'm going to use this for a lack of better terms, Iron Maiden, where you took the artwork and you said, okay, I remember when I walked into a record store in my neighborhood, the guy said, hey, man, have you ever heard of Iron Maiden? I was all, nope, right? He's oh yeah, it's really cool, dude. They got some new album out and there's a zombie on it with a hatchet. I gotta get that one. You know what I mean? Zombie and hatchet. I was sold. I swear to you, as God is my witness, or as fairy tale this may sound, I'm in this record shop, and this long-haired dude comes walking in. Long hair is right past the chin here, and he's got on a vest, and he's carrying this album, and I'm looking at it, and it says Iron Maiden. And I went and I spoke with the guy, and what he was doing is back then you could buy an album, if it had a scratch, you take it back to the record store, and they just give you another album, right? Hey, track 3 is scratch, I was talking to him, and we went back to his house, and we played the album. I already liked hard rock to begin with. I already liked Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, stuff like that. Stuff that, was mainstream at the time. But when that guy came walking into the record store, and I already heard about this zombie with a hatchet, I was already sold. And then you played for me, and you say Iron Maiden, and they're still around today, but it's just a matter, it's the timing. I was telling some kids here last night, I was saying, you know what? By my age, I've been fortunate enough to say that I've seen Randy Rhoads with Ozzy. I've seen Paul Di'Anno and Clive Burr in Iron Maiden. I've seen Neil Turbin in Anthrax. I've seen Metallica with I saw him with Dave Mustaine and Ron McGovney. I've seen Metallica with Cliff. I've seen the original Venom. I saw Slayer when they wore makeup. I've seen Exodus with Paul Bailoff. I'm
greatest of the greats.
I'm even proud to say that I've seen Def Leppard when the drummer had 2 arms. And it's just the accumulation of a lot of that music has gotten from metal to hard rock, but all the stuff that's come in between, your Saxons and your Motorheads and things like that. It's like I think we came. The people like Angelo and Dennis and everyone else as an older, who would stay up on a certain night to hear, Manic Metal or Dr. Metal or the Metal Hour, Now you just go to your internet and show, metal, boom, here you go, and you get all these podcasts from all over the world. But I think we came up in a very impressionable time where we were able to just grab everything and pave our own way, where you get bands like Heretic that's, hey, okay, that's heavy metal, and then you hear another band say, oh, that's speed metal,
Right.
And you got a band like mine, it's like, okay, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but it's fast, and I may like it or I may not, because I don't understand what that dude is saying, and they have the attention span of a fucking gnat, because that means our songs are short.
It's true. But at the same time, too, man, like, the internet is also...
it's a great tool.
It's a great tool, and I can still do what you said earlier, where it's like I can soak in everything like a sponge and pave my own path, which is what I'm doing thanks to the internet. So there's a couple different ways you can kind of look at it nowadays versus the 80s days or whatever. But I think each has their time and place, man. Just if you utilize the tools that are in front of you is all.
I agree.
People are too lazy to fucking do anything anymore. Is all.
Yeah, I guess I fall in that category. I delegate a lot of my work to people. You
also hustled. You got all the bands here tonight to do this. You know, I mean, you put this together. I just showed up.
Well, you said you'd be here, right?
I usually, of course. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So
it was definitely old school. I picked up my phone and I looked through my rosters and I started picking out bands and
Rolodex and everything.
Yeah, pretty much. And I just started calling people, and then I gave everyone the heads up, and I said, okay, I'm going to give you a checkup call in about 3 weeks, which was last week. And then I started calling some people today just to make sure, because they started dropping like flies. But yeah, it was old school mentality.
Here's the thing: I don't care about the people who didn't show. I only care about who showed up. The other people don't matter to me.
Well, maybe there's another opportunity to do this again.
Sure.
Oh, we definitely will.
But I'm not going to concentrate on who didn't. I'm going to concentrate on the people I'm interviewing.
Yeah. Like I said, we heard some great stories.
Yeah, and if you missed it, then you missed it. So don't matter to me.
Wanted to keep you busy.
I'm just doing my thing. But I want to thank you. We're going to end this right now. Angela, do you have anything to say? You falling asleep on me. Look at those eyes, dude.
Let the time show that it's after 2 o'clock.
It's 2 o'clock right now.
Let me put my sunglasses on.
Those aren't sunglasses. That's how stoned he is, ladies and gentlemen.
The bar
anyway,
is closed.
so the bar is the bar is open till 4, I guess now.
There's beer in the fridge back there, guys.
Didn't they? Yeah, I'm gonna take some of that home. So I appreciate that. thank you very much for
Thanks for having us.
No,
for
thanks for
having
being
us.
here, guys. Really, and all the bands. Kudos.
and I'm hoping we could do this again. And if so, I can't wait to come back and do this.
All right, we will.
So barbecue. There's no pool party, so I can't say pool party. But barbecue, beer party, podcast. If you like what you see, come on down to Cide Show in Gardena, California.
Yeah, I'll talk to him on the way home about it.
It's like right next to the main street.
Yeah, right next to the main street, Gardena, California. And thank you, Sherman and Gina. We really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
There's enough musicians in here. You guys could put together a set or two.
We
while
could
everyone's
do
here.
a little band.
That's right.
Imagine.
I'm down.
Got a
Ooh,
singer. I'll play some
ooh,
drums. Got a
ooh.
bass player. Got a
Okay.
guitar player over
This
here.
could be ugly.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. And
Good night, everybody.
But you guys won't see it because you're not here, so we'll only see it. Cheers.
Thank you.
Poppitt's Corner.
night.
I'm out.
Good night.
Later.
Good morning.